Welcome back to 80K Talks, where we share the stories, people, and places that make the Adirondacks unforgettable. I'm Jane, along with my co-host and brother Steve. Say hi, Steve.
Hello.
And today we're talking about a very special event that happens. It's happening at the end of this month, October, and into November in Lake Placid. You know, Steve, I don't know about you, but I think there is something really kind of cinematic about Lake Placid.
Yes.
The beautiful lake, Mirror Lake and its still waters, the shifting mountain light, the looming ski jump towers that are over the town, as well as all the historic places.
The backdrop of Whiteface Mountain.
And with Whiteface in the background. So, maybe that's why storytellers keep coming back there. And I'm talking about writers and photographers and filmmakers, especially. Each fall, those stories take center stage at the Lake Placid Film Festival, where big screen dreams meet small town charm. And today, we're really excited to be joined by Noah Raymer, Director of Communications for Adirondack Film and the Lake Placid Film Festival. We're going to discuss the festival's history, what makes it a beloved tradition in the North Country, and how it inspires the next generation of filmmakers. Whether you're a cinephile, a student with a story to tell, or just someone who loves a good reason to visit Lake Placid in the fall, I think you're really going to love this conversation. So, Noah, welcome to the 80K Talks podcast.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Jane and Steve. I'm so happy to be on. I'm an avid listener now. So really excited to have this conversation with you both.
Sweet.
We'd love to hear that. So let's just dig right in. For those who've never attended, how would you describe the Lake Placid Film Festival, maybe in a single frame, to use a little Hollywood jargon?
So from the very first moment that I attended the Lake Placid Film Festival, before I was even employed there, I saw the film festival as the Telluride of the Northeast. So for those of you that don't know, the Telluride Film Festival is in Colorado. It's up in the Rocky Mountains. It's very hard to get to, but it's absolutely beautiful. It's a very small community, very walkable town, and it's where the best films are shown every year. It's where all the filmmakers come to kind of get away from the hubbub of New York or LA to kind of just experience the beauty of film, as well as, the beauty of the human condition. And that's really what I think the Lake Placid Film Festival is. It's picturesque views. It's a beautiful small mountain community and a true sense of collaboration and community that I personally feel is missed at a lot of those larger festivals. You might be able to go see 50, 60 films at, something really giant, like let's say the Toronto Film Festival, but are you getting that same kind of community and collaboration that you're getting at our festival? I don't necessarily think so.
That's great. Can you also help explain for our listeners how the film festival fits in with Adirondack Film as an organization? Earlier this year, we had Eric Granger on, who's the Adirondack Film Commissioner, and he talked about all the cool stuff he does attracting the industry to the area to film. How does Adirondack Film and the film festival fit together?
As Eric has talked about, and our entire organization, our mission is to enhance the role that film and television play in the Adirondacks, whether that's through what Eric's doing through the Adirondack Film Commission, which is bringing film productions up to our region so that we can actually, have a thriving film community here with people employed in all of the trades and the crafts, set design, costume design, cinematography, so that all of those people can be working in the Adirondacks. So that's one part of Adirondack Film. The other part is providing the filmed arts to our community, being able to actually see some of these films that you might only hear about in the New Yorker or the New York Times or, in an LA podcast or a podcast like this. We want to make sure that there's access to these films so that you don't have to just go on Netflix and just watch everything. We're trying to create a film community here as well. And so the film festival really merges those two key tenets of our organization into one. It is an advertisement to filmmakers and studios that we are open for business. We are here to, work with those companies so that they can film their films and television in the Adirondacks, but it's also a place for the community to really see, like, look, we are here for you. We are here to bring you all of these incredible films that have so much to say about humanity in a time where I think we need to hear from as many voices as possible at a time like this. So that's really the core tenet of our film festival and how it fits into our organization as a whole.
That's so great. And I'm not going to go into detail. It'll be in the show notes. Eric shared some of the very well-known and big names that have filmed here. The Escape from Dannemora, which starred Patricia Arquette and Benicio del Toro and was directed by Ben Stiller. Succession is filmed here a couple of times, the hit HBO show, as well as Billions, the Showtime show, also filmed here with Paul Giamatti. And there's a host of other great things, including Bear Grylls' Survival Man, or I forget what the name of the show is, but
Running Wild with Bear Grylls, I believe is the full title.
I actually had to watch it on a very grainy thing on YouTube, but it was hilarious to see Shaquille O'Neal in the Adirondacks. But at the film festival in Lake Placid, are there specific types of films or filmmakers that are attracted to the event, or is it just really a variety of things?
So we obviously have a variety of films, whether you're into comedies or thrillers or dramas, documentaries. We do try to have a very well-rounded program for folks. Having said that, our key categories where we're getting some of the biggest films in these sectors are in documentary and in international films.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So the Cannes Film Festival, which takes place in May every year in France, that's one of the biggest, most prestigious film festivals of the year. And we typically have at least 3 or 4 films that won prizes at the Cannes Film Festival at our festival each year. And they're all Northern New York premieres. So folks are seeing these films typically months before they're even available to see in theaters, let alone to stream on Netflix or anything like that. So that's something that we really pride ourselves on. Just for one notable example, last year we screened Walter Salles' I'm Still Here. And that was the Brazilian entry to last year's Oscars. That film was nominated for 3 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Actress, and it took home the trophy for Best International Film. And it screened in Lake Placid before anywhere else in Northern New York. So that was really exciting, and that's something that we continue to strive to do with our programming each year.
Beyond the screenings, what's the atmosphere like in Lake Placid over that weekend?
The atmosphere is really laid back and inviting. You can go to one of the screenings or seminars and see the director do a Q&A, and then half an hour later, you can see them at the Lake Placid Pub and Brewery grabbing a drink with a friend, or, at the Breakfast Club enjoying breakfast. And it's just, that is the most beautiful thing about this festival, is that you get to see these incredible filmmakers, these incredible creatives and emerging artists in their habitat. You get to see them talking shop, talking film, but then you get to see them just be people. That's how they're treated at our festival. There's not, huge swarms of crowds. There's not, media getting, all in their face and all of that. It's really a community driven festival. So once you get there, you feel like you're part of the family. We always say to people that attend our festival, whether it's a guest or an attendee coming maybe from out of town, you're now part of our Adirondack Film family. I mean, that's really the vibe of the entire festival outside of the screenings.
So the Kardashians won't be there. We wouldn't expect to see them.
Exactly. That's a great, honestly, the filmmakers and guests that typically like to come to our festival are the ones that like a lower profile. They don't want to be hounded by the media or anything like that, which is why we see a lot of filmmakers who have kind of already went through, the big tabloid magazines and stuff. And now they've figured out a way to hide from them now. So in the past, we've had folks like Willem Dafoe, Oscar winner Guillermo del Toro, who directed The Shape of Water and Hellboy. One of the most notable examples was, I believe it was in 2005, we had Martin Scorsese, who obviously of Goodfellas and Casino. And he was interviewed at the time by Jon Favreau, who is now the shepherd of the Star Wars franchise. He created The Mandalorian. He directed Iron Man. And so that's like one of the key moments of our festival's history. So those are the kind of people that we really like to bring in, either creatives who are still starting out in the industry or people who have had lots of experience and want to impart that on our young creatives who are attending the festival.
That's cool.
Janie,
I know what you're going to say, Steve. Go ahead and ask it.
might this be a good time that someone mentioned the URL where listeners might be able to find some more information regarding all this?
Steve, that is a great idea.
What a concept. What an idea.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Steve. So if you want full details on our festival passes, individual tickets, our schedules, and much more, you'll want to check out our website, which is adirondackfilm.org, or you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram with the same username, Adirondack Film, all one word. But we're constantly updating the schedule, and we have new events that we're announcing every week. So definitely take a look at that.
It's starting October 30th. It runs October 30th through
November 2nd. So it's Thursday, October 30th through Sunday, November 2nd. And our big opening night party is that Thursday night on October 30th. And that's all of our filmmaking guests and pass holders will be there. So definitely encourage you to come out to that. And then maybe you'll see some things that you really want to attend over the weekend. So at the very least, come to our opening night party.
That's great. And just to also emphasize, this isn't just a Johnny-come-lately film festival. This is the 24th year you've been doing it. How did it get started? What are its roots?
This festival and this entire organization started, I believe, February of 1997. We had a screening of Adam Eoghan's film, The Sweet Hereafter, at the Palace Theater. And we've had the screening planned months ahead of time, and a blizzard occurred the same night of the screening.
Oh my gosh.
So we assumed the director was there. We had Russell Banks, who was the author of the book that the film's inspired by, there, as well as Kathleen Carroll, who was the critic for the New York Daily News at the time, and also a Lake Placid native. So they were all there, and they were like, there's no way that we're going to get anyone for this film. It's a blizzard. 300 people showed up to the Palace. They sold out the Palace One Theater. And at that time, they said, with this kind of crowd, we need to build a film community here. Like, we need to build some kind of festival for them. Now, it did take a few years for that to happen. 1997, we flash forward to the year 2000, and finally, the Lake Placid Film Forum was born. And so the whole purpose of the forum was to give filmmakers an opportunity to express their thoughts and ideas on the films that they're creating and impart that wisdom and knowledge onto the next generation of filmmakers, to those emerging creatives. And that's something that I feel over the last 25 years that we have really stuck with and evolved in ways that I don't even think our founders could have envisioned at that point. So that's all thanks to a blizzard in Lake Placid, which if you live in the Adirondacks, you know that that's typically not a miracle. So you're not typically like, oh, thank goodness there's a blizzard. But for us and our organization, we are thankful for that blizzard.
That's amazing. Beyond the potential for a whiteout, are there any challenges to building a festival in a small mountain town? I mean, Lake Placid, to be fair, has hosted the Winter Olympics twice, has numerous international sporting events, bobsled skating, ECAC hockey championship takes place here often. What are some of the challenges, though, and what are some of the unique benefits, do you think, of having it in Lake Placid?
Well, to kind of your point, Jane, one of the biggest challenges for many film festivals or festivals in general that are in small mountain towns is having enough lodging and accommodations, as well as to eating venues and places to grab a drink and meeting space. Those are all really big issues with small mountain towns, which is why you see a lot of places like the Sundance Film Festival or the Telluride Film Festival, which I previously mentioned, set up screening venues in schools, in libraries, in doctors' offices. Like, that's how a lot of film festivals typically work in those mountain towns. We don't have that issue because we have hosted the Olympics twice. There's more than enough lodging for folks to come up from New York City or from, all across the country to attend our film festival. So that is actually a boon for us. We're allowed to have the small mountain town atmosphere while knowing that we still have the capacity for a lot of attendees. One of the biggest challenges, though, as with everything, is getting folks up here, getting folks to the Adirondacks, because our film community is very vibrant in the Adirondacks. But in order to bring the Martin Scorseses and the Guillermo del Toros of the world up to our festival, that is something where we need to have a little bit of a bigger audience so that we can bring those folks in. So that is doing things like we typically host a annual film day in Albany where we let filmmakers know kind of who we are, what our organization's about, how easy it is to get to us from Albany. It's a short Amtrak ride or a bus direct to Lake Placid. Or it's having an annual New York City mixer that we've had for 4 years running now, where we go down there and we tell people about us in their own environments so that they can see, because honestly, our biggest selling point for the festival is our community. We care about our filmmakers. We want to see them succeed. And so when we collaborate with them, it's not a one-time, you're here for the festival and then thanks, we'll see you next year. We really try to maintain a connection with them throughout the year. So by meeting them in their own hometowns, that is where we're able to show them, like, look, we care about you and we've traveled hundreds of miles just to talk to you, which is truly the case.
And once you get to Lake Placid, it's a very walkable town.
Oh, absolutely.
The heart of Lake Placid, that downtown, you can stay and walk to restaurants, walk to the Palace Theater, walk to all the different, Olympic heritage venues. I know it's not Park City, but it's compact like downtown Park City is. So that makes it nice.
No, it absolutely is. Like our festival headquarters, High Peaks Resort, is literally right next door to the Palace Theater. And so High Peaks Resort's where all of our seminars and panels are. So you can go catch a panel about the art of costume design and then literally walk, I don't know, a block maximum, and then go see a film from an Academy Award nominated filmmaker. That's really, to your point, that's one of the best parts of our festival is once you get to us, you don't need to drive. You don't need to do anything. You can just walk.
That's cool. What do you think has helped the Lake Placid Film Festival endure and grow for, almost 25 years?
Well, in large part, it is our community. We do have the festival every year, and that does provide us with some of the revenue needed for our organization to continue to grow. But it's really our community members who attend our screenings throughout the year. We have a winter film series called See Something That Means Something, where we bring one art house or, Oscar nominated film to the Adirondacks each month. So the community helps drive that. Community helps get the word out, and community organizations help partner and sponsor us so that we are able to bring filmmakers up to our community and have them impart their knowledge onto, our future workforce and to all the cinephiles in our community. So that's really what has made it endure so long. That and our board and our staff. We are so resilient. In 2020, like everyone, there was a big hit on the arts and it didn't look like we were going to make it. We had to cancel the festival that year. And unlike so many other, social events that have shuttered since then, we have only grown since 2020, which is something that we're really excited about. It's been a rough couple years trying to get back to where we were, but we're finally at that pinnacle. And we're ready to take it back to the next step and bring back the Martin Scorsese's, even though we have some amazing guests this year that I'm excited to talk about later.
That's cool. You just mentioned revenue. You're not for profit, both the film festival and Adirondack Film, and there's so much funding for the arts being cut right now. How are you supported, and what can people do to help make sure that both entities are viable going forward?
Thank you for asking that question, because it's something that's been on our minds a lot recently with all of the cuts to the arts grants happening throughout this entire year. Thankfully, we have some really great donors that have helped us get through this difficult time, but especially as we're coming into our 25th festival next year, we really do need a little bit more funding in order to have the festival that we want to give to the community, both the Adirondack community and the filmmaking community at large. So if you are able to donate personally, whether that's $1, $5, $50, we are extremely appreciative of all of our individual donors. You can give by visiting our webpage, adirondackfilm.org/give. Also, if you know anybody that is potentially interested in sponsoring the Lake Placid Film Festival, we have so many incredible sponsors that we work with each year. Recommend them to us. They can send us an email at info@adirondackfilm.org, and we'd be happy to share all the ways that they can help make the festival possible, whether that's through a simple monetary donation or whether that's partnering with us on one of our special parties or trivia nights or those sorts of things so that we can create an award so that we can create a great experience for our attendees. But yes, please give. I'm not one, but we want to make sure that the 25th is incredible. So please help us make that a reality.
And I want to talk about the 25th, but I'd like to delve a little bit deeper right now into, what's coming up this year. Is there anything that is new or especially exciting about this year's festival that you can share with us?
So one of the things that is most exciting about the festival this year is that we're taking a real emphasis on the trades this year. So we typically, for our panels and seminar discussions, we have often looked at, how to be a filmmaker in the industry, how to, write your screenplay, how to sell yourself in Hollywood, all of those skills, which are very much needed. But oftentimes at our festival and others, the role of trade organizations is severely under-discussed. So that's the costume designers, the makeup artists, the special effects, the set designers. There's so much like woodworking that needs to be done on a film set that you wouldn't even realize. They build whole houses. They build entire sets. And those are the things that aren't necessarily talked about as much at these kinds of events. So we have partnered with Stockade Works, which is a film training organization out of the Hudson Valley. And they are helping us with a seminar called Careers in Motion, where attendees will hear from a costume designer, a lighting designer, a location manager, as well as a special effects and creature artist, all about their trades and how emerging creatives can actually enter those industries. And what's really great about this event is that we then break off into basically speed dating. So it's an hour of just getting like a little bit of info about each person. And then there'll be a whole other hour where you'll have like a one-on-one discussion with each person for like a couple minutes. So each attendee feels like they got a personalized sense of what each trade is. And that's all happening on October 31st at 2:30. That's the one I'm very excited about and what's really new and different about our festival this year.
That's so cool. On your website, I also know, and from speaking with you earlier, Noah, you do a lot with students, both at the high school and undergraduate level. Tell our listeners a little bit more about those programs. For example, you have a program with BOCES, the Board of Cooperative Educational Services. I know when I was in high school, those were training programs for the trades, more like welding or nursing or culinary arts. I was really interested when you were talking about the programs that they do now in the arts. I'd love for you to share that with our listeners.
We are currently in conversation with the Lake Placid High School, BOCES, SUNY Plattsburgh, and Stockade Works, that job training organization I mentioned earlier, on a program called Futures in Film, which will make film trades like the ones that we're talking about in that Careers in Motion panel and speed dating workshop viable in this community. So it'll be training our high school and college students so that they can actually work on film sets in their own community without having to leave to go to New York City or go to Georgia or go to LA for filming opportunities. We want to bring that home, especially because the cost of living has gotten astronomical. And we want to make sure that folks who grow up in Adirondacks, who grow up in Lake Placid or Saranac Lake, that they can continue to stay there and afford to live there for as long as they would like. And that's really the do or die purpose of this mission. Is if that doesn't happen, those folks who want those types of jobs are going to leave our community. And we want to keep those folks in the Adirondacks. So that is our big initiative that we're currently developing. And that Careers in Motion seminar will explain more information on that. In the meantime, though, we have started a program called the Lake Placid Film Festival Student Summit. That program allows 8 to 12 college students the opportunity to attend our film festival at virtually no cost to them. Film festivals, just like any other type of festival, can get astronomically expensive when you factor in hotels, you factor in your meals, and then you think about your festival passes and all of those things. This program eliminates those financial barriers for students who honestly can't afford it. If you're in college and you're taking out student loans, you probably can't afford $1,000 to go to a film festival. So as part of this program, we pay for their lodging for the entire weekend. We pay for all of their meals. We pay for their festival passes, and they get exclusive small group discussions each morning with one of our special guests of the festival. So when Academy Award nominated director Raoul Peck came to the festival, our students got to talk to him and just ask them questions for 45 minutes. And so it's trying to create those opportunities for students to network and grow, because colleges are doing great work through their film programs. You're seeing so many talented filmmakers come out of these programs, but there's not a place for them to network outside of their own, their own colleges. So that's really the point of our festival, is to make things affordable enough for college students to come. So whether that's the student summit, whether that's, helping high school students see that there's a future here, or even, we offer discounts to college groups. We create personalized schedules for colleges. We are very education forward at this festival. That's my greatest mission as our director of communications, is to make sure that colleges and emerging creatives know that we exist.
That's so great. And, it makes me think back to the conversation I had with Eric, the Adirondack Film Commissioner. Part of his challenge and his pitch to filmmakers to come and work, or TV companies to come and film here in the Adirondacks, is that there are resources for them, people who know lighting, people who know those trades that can support them coming here to film. So it sort of has a mutually beneficial effect for both attracting talent here and providing an industry here for people to work in. So that's awesome. If you're a first-time attendee, in your opinion, how do you make the most of the weekend? Any insider tips you can share?
What I always tell folks, whether they're coming to our festival or another festival, I do this as well, is diversify your plans. I would not recommend staying in a dark theater from 11 a.m. till 10 p.m. at night. You absolutely can, and folks do. But if you want a well-rounded experience of our festival to see what we really have to offer, I would recommend going to a panel. I would recommend going to a film. I'd recommend going to some of our parties. One of the events I haven't mentioned yet is our trivia night and costume contest. So we do a trivia night every year. It's all film-related trivia. You can play by yourself or in groups up to 4. And it's free. You don't even need a festival pass. If you just want to come to do trivia, you absolutely can. On October 31st. So because it's on Halloween, we're also doing a costume contest with prizes for best costume, most unique costume, and most best film-related costume. And these aren't just prizes like here's a $5 gift card or anything like that. We are getting prizes from film companies like Warner Brothers, Neon. We'll be giving out a festival pass for next year's festival. So you can already have your spot secured for 2026. So that is a really great event where you can get to see a bit of who we are outside of just the cool screenings that we're doing. The other tip that I would have is try to see a film that you know nothing about. We have some films with great stars, with great directors that you probably know that I can talk about in a minute. But I always recommend go see a film that you know absolutely nothing about. You maybe read the 2-sentence log line in our program. You say, that sounds interesting. Those are often the films that will stick with you the most after the fact. And it often brings up a great talking point when you're like at the water cooler trying to say like, what have you seen lately? Like it's a cool dropping point or a mic drop moment where you can say like, oh, I saw this film. Have you seen this yet? Oh, no, it's not out yet. It creates this cool discussion after the festival as well. So those are my top tips. And rest beforehand, because you are not going to sleep once you get here. We got things from 9 a.m. till 11 at night.
Yeah, that being in a darkened theater all day thing makes me think, Steve, remember how we used to go to Proctor's Theater in Schenectady when we were kids? Our parents would just drop us off for like a Planet of the Apes film festival.
Yeah.
And we'd watch 4 different Planet of the Apes, the old school Charlton Heston Planet of the Apes. Yeah, I don't think that's good to be in a dark theater for multiple hours like
For
that.
extended periods of time.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's talk about the 25th anniversary. It's happening next year. How are you and the team thinking about that milestone?
So, as I mentioned earlier, technically our festival began in 2000, but because we didn't host in 2020, we're treating 2026 as our official 25th anniversary. And so we're trying to look back at the last 25 years of festivals of programming to kind of see how we can pay tribute to our legacy, both as an organization and as well as the individuals who have made this organization a reality, that have made the festival a reality for the last 25 years. We're currently in prep for this festival, all hands on deck. But we have already started conversations with several alum of our festival, a couple of who are Oscar nominated. Oh wait, people can't see that I'm winking. But a couple Oscar nominated alums that we are talking to with these types of things. It really does come down to the wire, because filmmaking, it's very much a last minute craft. You might feel like, oh, I don't have anything planned for the next year. It's a gig economy, and then in the summer you realize, oh, I have this project that I'm shooting, I'm going to get $200,000 for. So things are always still in flux, but we are already prepping things. And after the festival, we're going through our warehouse to find all of the old programs and posters and things like that, so we can create exhibits next year so that folks can really understand our history, so they can join us for the next 25 years of festivals.
That's awesome.
It's cool to talk about the 25th, but maybe if we loop back again, Noah, are there any films that you're really interested in seeing this year? Are there premieres that you're really excited about, or something that you personally are psyched about?
So as director of communications, I'm also on the programming team. So I've actually had the opportunity to see a lot of these films ahead of time. So I can really say some of the films that I think that our typical attendees would like, as well as listeners of your podcast. One of the ones that we love is called Arco. It is a animated movie set in 2075, where a girl meets someone from the future who teleports through time using rainbows. It's very interesting. The visual style is super unique. It features the voices of Natalie Portman, Will Ferrell, Mark Ruffalo, Andy Samberg, and much more. So that one is definitely one that I've been recommending to folks who ask. We also have a rare screening of Buffalo Bill and the Indians, or Sitting Bull's History Lesson. That's a Western with Paul Newman and directed by Robert Altman. What's great about this screening is that we have one of the actors of the film, Alan Nichols, who will be on hand for a Q&A after the film. So that's really exciting for a film that very rarely gets shown in a theater, let alone at a film festival. So that's a really great one. Our opening night film is called Move Your Body, The Birth of House. So it's all about, the transition of disco music to house and how that's now influenced artists such as like Lady Gaga and Rihanna and that sort of thing. That is our opening night film. And we actually have the director and producer on hand, Chester Algernar Gordon, as well as Elegance Bratton. They are up and coming filmmakers in the industry. Their last film was nominated for a Golden Globe. It was called The Inspection by A24. And they just signed a deal with Paramount and Skydance Sports to direct an Arthur Ashe biopic. It's the same folks who are working on Mission Impossible, and that, like, they're working with that team to create an Arthur Ashe biopic. So we're really excited that we got them for our opening night screening. And that's going to be a very fun, the film is very fun. It's very musically inclined. We want audience members, if they're feeling like it, to get up and start dancing. Like, that's the vibe that we want to create in that theater. And the last one that, we're all very excited about, there's plenty more. I could spend a whole podcast just talking about why we love these films so much, but I know we have other things to talk about as well. Actually, there's two. I have to mention two other films. One is called Viva Verdi. It is a film about Casa Verdi, which is a retirement home in Italy for aging opera singers and musicians. It is beautiful. You get to hear all of these incredible stories from musicians who have had a lifetime of amazing stories. our programming team was sent the trailer, and we cried just from the 2.5-minute trailer. And we realized, okay, this needs to be in the festival. And what's great about that one is we're partnering with the Lake Placid Symphonietta for a post-screening discussion, which will include some members of their board, including a retired Metropolitan Opera singer, Anne Hurd, as well as the director of the film, Yvonne Russo, who's coming all the way up from New York City for that. So we're really, really excited for that one. And then finally, it's Halloween, so we can't do a film festival over the Halloween weekend without showing some sort of horror film. So we're showing a special screening of Silence of the Lambs with with a production executive on the film, Larry Jackson, doing Q&A afterwards. So we actually have someone who was the executive in charge of all the production of the film that will be on hand to answer questions and provide that, it's a great capper to your Halloween experience. You go trick-or-treating, then come on out to the film, October 31st, 8 p.m. It'll be a great time.
That sounds so cool. I love the variety, and all of those might not be things I would typically gravitate toward, but just hearing you describe them, I want to see all of them. Maybe not Silence of the Lambs again.
You don't want some fava beans?
I don't want some fava beans. I'll take the Chianti, though.
Okay, all right.
You've brought up Halloween a couple of times. I also want to mention Lake Placid has one of the best Halloween parades in the North Country. So while you're here, you can also see the fabulous Lake Placid Halloween parade.
Yeah, from 12 to 1 p.m.
Yeah, there you go. Noah, this has been fascinating. I love getting this behind the scene glimpse for the Lake Placid Film Festival. Everything you've described just sounds even more compelling now that I've heard more about what's happening, and it's certainly looking forward to the 25th anniversary. Pulling back the lens a little bit, in your opinion, why do stories and film in particular matter so much in a place like the Adirondacks?
I think that stories are important, period, not just to the Adirondacks, but to humanity as a whole. This is a way for us to understand what it's like to be in someone's shoes. Film is the only visual medium where you can see through another person's eyes for an extended period of time. And as a device of a time now than ever before, we need to hear from everybody. We need to hear those stories, and especially in small mountain towns like Lake Placid or the Adirondacks, sometimes it's hard to get all of those stories, to hear of all those diverse stories from around the world. And so that's really the importance of film, both our organization and just as a whole, is to make sure that those folks know what life is like in Wisconsin or in Florida or on the other side of the world in Australia or Japan. Like, that's really the importance of film, is because when we understand each other, we can move forward. We can actually continue to build and grow our society.
I love that.
And that's what we're hoping to do through Adirondack Film, is to build and grow that community in our towns.
I would also add to that too. I think if you haven't been to one of these types of events, if you know the Adirondacks for the hiking, the paddling, the whole other creative side of the Adirondacks, whether it's in Lake Placid or, other villages in the North Country, it's very impressive. Whether it's performing arts, music, the creative arts, it really opens your eyes to the depth of that community in this area. And I think the Lake Placid Film Festival is just a way to really showcase that as well. So this is, as I just said, Noah, this has been really great. And before we release you into the wild, we always like to end with a kind of a fun question for our guests. The Adirondacks are full of hidden gems, everything from fantastic ice cream stands to epic waterfalls, the historic great camps. So when you're in Lake Placid for the film festival, or it doesn't even have to be Lake Placid, when you're up in the Adirondacks, because I know you're based in Rochester, New York, what's the one place that you want to go back to time after time, or you tell people who are coming here for the first time that they must visit this place? I'm sorry, you can't say the Adirondack or the Lake Placid Film Festival.
Shucks. That was my answer. No, just kidding.
But it can be anything, favorite hiking trail. You've mentioned a couple of the breweries, classic diner, or even just a spot that you like to sneak away to for a little bit of peace and quiet. What would you say is your hidden gem?
That's a tough one because, quite honestly, whenever I'm in Lake Placid, I'm running around trying to make sure that the
Right.
festival's running smoothly. So I don't get the chance to explore as much as I would love to. But my favorite little hidden gem is the Dancing Bears restaurant in High Peaks Resort. So, a lot of people go there for dinner or for a drink, and they do great in that regard as well. But I personally recommend their brunch. They have a cinnamon swirl French toast that I get on the Sunday morning of the festival every year for the last 5 years. And it is the best. It's just so it's got all those warming spices. It's fresh whipped cream. So they whip the cream in the back. They have a berry compote. It's just delicious. The rest of the breakfast is delicious as well. But that would be my hidden gem, is the cinnamon swirl French toast at Dancing Bears restaurant. Definitely check that out. And it's right next door to the Palace Theater. So you can, I found a way to loop in the film festival there, Steve.
There you go.
That's great. Thank you so much for everything you've shared today, Noah. We definitely need to have you back next year before the 25th anniversary.
I would love
to talk
that.
about everything that's going on then. And we wish you all a very successful festival this year and much more to come for filmmaking in the Adirondacks.
Thank you so much, Jane. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
That was really great. I'm so excited about this year's film festival. I know we spent a lot of time talking about sort of the history and then flashing forward to their 25th anniversary, but that lineup for this year sounds amazing.
That is. It's very exciting. It's exciting that a small community, rural community in the mountains can be hosting such a diverse exposition of theater, filmmaking. And the fact that they're reaching out to incorporate the trades, the set design, set development, costume design aspects of filmmaking. That's really kind of a neat addition to it. So I'm really excited.
And to be fair, I mean, it's not like, Lake Placid is Potter's Corners. It's a big town. And as Noah mentioned, there's lodging. There are plenty of venues for them to do their screenings and their panels. There's a lot to do there beyond the film festival. You could really make a whole weekend out of it and, do all the cool film festival stuff. Plus, go up to the top of the ski jump or head over to High Falls Gorge in Wilmington, and there's great restaurants. There's good shopping on Main Street. I mean, you can really, it's not Park City, but it's not, nothing little town. There's so much to do there.
And something that we discussed episodes ago, but, it's a great time of year for a drive or a hike.
Yeah.
Because the leaves are off the trees and the views are so much more substantial. You can actually see so much more than you could in the middle of the summer when half your view is blocked by leaves. So then the woods are a lot less crowded. Yeah. But do be wary of the hunters, though, please.
Be aware of the hunters and dress appropriately and bring a headlamp.
Oh, yeah.
And a good old compass, too. Our friends at Search and Rescue of the Adirondack North Country would want us to mention that as well.
Weather changes quite quickly that time of year, the higher you go in elevation.
Well, and the other thing I thought about, too, when he was talking is, and time of year, the Palace Theater, we've talked about on the podcast, I think before, at least we've written about it, has a little bit of has a ghost. So who knows, you might have some kind of
How appropriate for Halloween.
Paranormal experience. And Saranac Lake, which is not too far away, has a lot of paranormal activity. So it's a lot of things converging at once. All right, listener. Every great film leaves you changed, a little more curious, a little more inspired, and maybe more connected to the world around you, hopefully. And the Lake Placid Film Festival does that for this region year after year by bringing together voices, visions, and stories that remind us how much wonder there still is in the world. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please take a moment to rate and review ADK Talks on your favorite podcast platforms. It helps more people discover these amazing Adirondack stories that we love and filmmakers and other people love to tell. And for more insights, travel tips, and behind-the-scenes stories from the heart of the Adirondacks, visit our website, adktaste.com, and subscribe to our weekly newsletter. Until next time, may the screen stay bright, the popcorn fresh, and the Adirondacks always close to your heart. Thanks, and have a great day.
Thank you.